Hello, Percy Metal here. Today we're going to be playing some Thomas Alone. I've played a bit of this game and I thought it's pretty good. I've seen some YouTube videos on it as well, and it was half price on the PS Store, so I thought I'd buy it and make some videos on it. So let's get started.
Hello, I'm Mike Biffle and I made, well, this game, Thomas Was Alone. Thank you for buying a copy. That's very kind of you, unless you pirated it, in which case please go and buy a copy. It's in sales quite regularly. It's weird speaking to you from the past. So, this is Thomas. He was named originally by the community. The game's name, Thomas Was Alone, was arrived upon by a friend of mine who sarcastically suggested I should call the game Thomas Was Alone because that's emo, and emos would like it, and emos post links, which was sarcastic and lame in a weird way, but also actually weirdly right. We found that people were associating the red rectangle at the start of the game with the name Thomas. So giving the game that name immediately started a story going. And that happened in lots of ways throughout the game, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So this is step one, side-to-side movement. If you're a platforming game fan, it should not present too much of a challenge to you. But here it's really just about easing the player into the way the world works. Seeing gravity for the first time, understanding how falling feels, and then actually kind of talking about that in the voiceover to kind of have a bit of fun with it. It's also introducing the idea of a narrated story, and it's introducing Thomas, so we hopefully kind of do quite a few things here at the same time. It also does.
I think I may turn off the sound, because that's kind of annoying.
He's as good at falling as he was at observing.
So we can actually hear like the game sound instead of him just talking through the whole thing, so it's probably talking through the whole thing.
Okay, interesting. Thomas couldn't fall past this block. Think, damn it, think! What if there was some kind of inverted fall? Some way to... what's the word? Jump.
So there's some story to it as well.
A big jump. But Thomas noted there was no real danger in missing it. The world didn't want him to fail here. It was pushing him, but gently.
Quite simple, these levels. Well, very simple.
This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down.
I'll reset the whole thing. We'll try to get that cube.
This all seemed a little dangerous.
There we go.
The world was not to be trusted.
Now we can listen to it. I think I've connected it. Oh yeah.
This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment.
Kind of sad, the story. Nice relaxing game though.
Thomas wondered whether the portals were actually taking him anywhere. He felt like he was making progress, but there wasn't really any way to know.
Make everything
he
black.
seemed to be moving predominantly up and to the right, which might, or might not, be important. It might have been paranoia again, but Thomas could have sworn the world was becoming more complicated. It always seemed to be one step ahead of his skills. It had been designed just for him.
Oh, come on.
He wondered why. Was the world testing him? No. Too obvious.
At least we found out some more about
Something
Thomas.
The boiling, toxic, glowing water intimidated Thomas. He didn't like it. He certainly didn't want to swim in it.
Don't blame him. At least we know where we got his name from though.
The loneliness was getting to Thomas. No amount of observation or obsessive note-taking could combat that.
Make everything dark for a split second. But I've already played a little bit of this game. I got past these first levels, so I kind of know how to do them. It was only half price on the
Thomas
PS
had
store,
a
so I
new
decided to
theory.
get it.
The world was
But-
training him. He could feel himself getting smarter. There was the mental list to consider. Over the minutes and seconds since his spontaneous generation, he'd become a pretty skilled jumper. He was evolving. He just wished he had someone to share it with.
It would be pretty boring being alone. Oh. Look, got a new character.
Chris took an immediate and deep dislike to the skinny red rectangle. Who the hell did this Thomas think he was?
I just use the bumpers to change. It's easier than using the touchpad.
Chris had been doing fine. He wasn't the highest jumper, but he'd held his own. He'd even been graceful at times. Well, not technically graceful, probably the wrong word, but you know, fine. There was that skinny little runt leaping about like he owned the place.
Oh, that's very nice. Just hit me in the face. That would hurt falling down like that. Don't know how big they are though.
Okay, this was more like it. A glowy white thing. Only Chris could get to it, which of course made it all the more enticing. What would it do? What new opportunity might this switch open up to him? Great. Another chance for Thomas to jump slightly higher than Chris. How fortunate. Seriously, this made the whole switch pressing thing entirely worthwhile.
Yeah, not very hard, these levels. Nice story to them though.
Was this good? Because on the surface, it did not seem good. Chris was pretty scared. Little Red seemed fine, happy to be on his merry little adventure. Chris couldn't shake the feeling that things had taken a significant turn for the worse since Thomas had joined him. Sure, he'd been able to piggyback his way to ever so slightly higher platforms, but where had that got him? Well, to ever so slightly higher platforms, which was sort of his point.
Sorry, there's not much commentary, it's because they're talking over it, so don't really want to talk over what he's saying.
Chris stared at Thomas with pure hatred. He seemed so very happy at their situation. Friends together, a brave fellowship of quadrilaterals on a quest for greatness. That would be fine. But it was all the obvious observation that Thomas was doing which grated. Every time they saw something vaguely new, Chris would hear a satisfied little from the vaulting idiot. He hoped the next portal would split them up, if only for a few levels.
Doesn't seem like Chris likes Thomas much. He's just jealous how tall he can jump. What? Oh, failed. Thought I could make it. Big mistake. Had to wait again. Come on. There we go. Oh. It was gonna come towards me, or just stay there. But try and bounce off.
John knew. He knew that this was his chance. A moment to shine. This was game day.
How is it his chance? Oh yeah, John's a new guy.
This would not do. John needed
Oh
room
dear.
to show off his exceptional skills. As it was, he was trapped on the wrong side of these little dot things. Where did they
That's
come
rude.
from, anyway?
They were very rude to each other, except for Thomas.
John inhaled the air of the open space, and it smelled of awesome. Time to flex those muscles, to put his training to use, time to show those little dots how it was done. John decided to press the switch, to let the little dots catch up with him. John cared for his new allies.
That's nice, he actually
could
cared.
tell from the sympathetic expression he practiced in the mirror all these years.
Chris doesn't really like many people because everyone jump higher than him. And drop down. Look, I can bounce on one of them. Oh, I missed. I probably should get on top of John. Oh, Chris fell off. A little bounce. Chris is going to make it first. No, no commentary. I'm supposed to do this one. Change to John. How John needs to jump over Thomas, I think. He stops bouncing. Oh, Chris as well. Needs to use all of them.
John was happy to keep helping. He felt it was important to his image that he was seen to help the little guys.
That's nice of John. Still can't make it. Poor Chris. There we go. Oh, Chris still can't make it. You can hardly jump. Can't even make that little jump. No, wrong one. Was I hitting John instead of Chris? Oh, I was, whoops. You know what I mean. Chris can't make up any jumps. Have to work as a team. I can see why Chris is so annoyed. Now has to jump up on him. Jump up.
He didn't mind them so much either. The red one, Thomas, had a charming way of applauding every time John jumped.
I need Chris to jump across. No! No. Oh, just get John up there. Just need Chris. No, not Chris. Thomas now. Chris will need Thomas again. Seem to have to do this a lot.
The one was less immediately likeable, but his unremitting cynicism and tutting amused John.
All very kind. Now how am I going to do this one? Can't get John up here. I'll just try that. Haven't got this far into the levels. There's a level before I stop playing. There we go. Oh god, what's this one? Even more.
This was interesting. A floating target. This would require coordination, balance, and timing.
Oh god.
John was sure the dots would be lost, but he was happy to guide them to triumph.
I'm gonna have to use John now for Chris. Weird when they land on the side, they don't bounce. Really? Oh god damn it. Why does Chris have to be so bad? I'm trying to be mean to Chris, but he takes so long. Yeah, I made it that time.
Maybe
Didn't
that's
screw
what
up.
the dots were for. They were there to extend John's reach, to make his performance even more impressive. John liked the thought. He decided to keep them.
Oh, tricky. I don't think you had to do it this way, but I'm going to. Everybody in their spots. There we go. Ooh. New section. Oh, new one.
So, this was how Claire would die. She knew it would happen eventually.
No, Claire.
She was rubbish at jumping, and she moved slowly. She felt a little like her continued existence was breaking some kind of natural order.
Oh god.
The crumbling pillar was a dramatic death, she supposed.
No, 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 no.
Hey, what?
Oh.
Claire couldn't shake the feeling that she was not, in fact, dead. It was at that moment that Claire realised she had superpowers.
Oh god. She has...
She'd need a cape. There was no getting around that. You couldn't be a superhero without a cape. Claire didn't want confusion. If you saw a cape, that made matters clear. You knew what you were dealing with. Claire was all about communication. And, you know, floating in water, which was her superpower.
There we go. So Claire has superpowers. She can float in the poisonous water. But anyway guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and I'll see you in the next video.